Hello everyone, Ohm here, back with another Meteor Maker video. Last time we looked at trap combos that are either very cheap to unlock or that require no unlocks at all. So if you're interested in that, then feel free to check out the channel. This time around, we have trap combos to slow down speedrunners. And now, what you're seeing on screen is not actually something I'd recommend. This is a very typical setup. I'm sure a lot of you have actually run across it. And, well, the main problem is it's just very in your face. A careful player will dismantle that in seconds. It's just basically a waste of their time. And an experimented speedrunner, at best, if they're running the shield, you might cause them to use it. So if you keep applying pressure after they get out of this corridor and they've used their shield, then you might get the kill. But in general, not very effective. So let's move on to my first suggestion. Alright, for our first trap combo, there's something that I've never seen anyone else do, at least not exactly like this. And so I decided to nickname it the merry-go-up. And the key principle is you have a claw trap that pulls you up, and you have to go around in kind of a circle, like this. Now what makes this special? Well, you'll need a solid block in the middle, otherwise people can just grapple through. It doesn't have to be a corrosive cube though, so feel free to save a little bit of capacity on that. But this cross shape of acid cubes with a hole in the middle is really hard to spot the first time around. So you're just going there, and then you hear the claw go off, but you're like, where is it coming from, right? There's no holes here, right? Wrong, there's a hole right there. And because of how Iron Claw's traps work, well, you can go really fast around this, but you're not going to be fast enough for most part to get away from it. It can catch you all the way around here because it can work in kind of a cone. Now, this will, of course, not guarantee you a kill, but it can force raiders to either parry or shield, which is already a win in my book. If you can get them to have their shield on cooldown, then your next trap setup is that much more likely to get a kill. If they parry, oh well. If they're a careful raider, you can also get a kill with this, because even if you notice it, let's say you died once and now you know it's there, or you're just really careful, you shoot it, then you go up to retrieve your ammo, and the key part is you have one trap that's meant to threaten you up here, so you don't just stay here and chill. And basically, I use an incinerator. It doesn't need to be an incinerator. It could be a bolt shot, really. But the bomb trap, now, that one is pretty important. Why? Because once they go up, the bomb trap triggers, and then the floor becomes bombs. And you can't really see them because of all of the acid around. So jumping down is pretty sketchy, and staying up here, well, you need to at least move to some extent, otherwise you'll get burned or shot or whatever. Now you can tweak this to your needs. The key idea here is simply to have a path that's, longer or not a straight line in front of an Iron Claw, and then pulling them through the acid. But this particular setup has been quite successful for me in the past. Next, we have the Sentinel Bomb. Now, credit to Kharel for inspiring this design. I'll put a link to his channel in my description. And you can also talk to us on the Discord for the game. Now, how does this work? Well, it's pretty simple. You need a Sentinel in a corridor kind of like this with the self-destruct mod. Now, you could have more than one Sentinel. You could have one there. You could have one there. You could also put acid cubes there because the self-destruct mod does not have that much reach. You can actually just walk around there, but it does make the area pretty dangerous. Now, the other thing is I put a bolt trap here. You could use a masquerade with a guard with a dead man switch to break the Sentinel. But the main idea is that if you're just trying to go around, even if you deflect the bolt shot, chances are it's going to hit the Sentinel and trigger the self-destruct. And now this area becomes really hard to navigate. And, well, you need a threat at the end. A piston is going to be really good. You could also have warmongers right there charging the person and encouraging them to walk backwards. Definitely want to make sure that they can't just go on through this corridor very easily, right? You need to body block or something to prevent them from going forward. And then they're stuck between your warmongers or the piston and plasma. It's not going to last very long, but it is a very cheap setup, and it might net you a few kills. The plasma sentinel itself might actually shoot someone also. So a decent setup, a very cheap setup. Next up, we have the time bomb, just a regular old time bomb. And the way this works is pretty simple. It's similar to the Sentinel setup. You have a bolt shot that's there to make sure that this self-destruct impaler trap goes off. Now, how does this work? Well, if you have an impaler trap on a slope like this, it can trigger the explosion of the other impaler trap attached to the same block. And, well, it's just a matter of timing. So you go past there, and whether or not you willingly destroy it, the bolt shot will ensure it's broken. And then if you have a path that is approximately 16 blocks in length, this will explode in the face of most speedrunners. It's pretty obvious, so you want it around a corner, and I put a couple more self-destruct impalers here, just so if the person is slower or more careful or something, they might get caught by that. You could do a lot of things with this. You could have another trap here, just a simple impaler with maybe blockade, so that they turn around, they see the explosion, they freak out, and then they back out, or try to back out, into something else. So there's a lot you could do to expand the setup, but the key idea is basically having an impaler with self-destruct 16 block away on that face, and then on the other face. And I'll show this actually. Let's do a demonstration. And there you have it. Good old pistons are going to be the next combo, but not in the way you expect. Not like this. You have a corridor coming up like that. Then you have a couple of pistons around the corner. And then you have an incinerator. It doesn't need to be quite that far, but if it's a little harder to reach, it's probably a little bit better. You could also have it behind a hollow cube, make it just a little bit less obvious. And this impaler is actually pretty important here. You want an impaler on blockade. They're coming in fast. They don't care about impalers, right? It's not going to kill them, but it's on blockade. So now they come around this corner, they see these pistons, they stop for a brief moment, and they either get toasted or they try to go past the pistons and get smushed. That's the main idea. It's really cheap. It's going to be much more effective than that. It's a lot less predictable. You don't know what's around the corner. You might hear it, but you can't see it. And that's the main part of this, really. Just a simple piston setup. No need to spam. Really easy to deal with if you're careful. But for a speedrunner, this is going to be at least a surprise the first time around. For my last speedrunner trick, here is a pretty standard looking setup, right? And what happens? Well, you go in, maybe let's say you shoot this. First of all, you have another incinerator there to prevent backing up. You have a bomb trap. It could be an incinerator. It could be a lot of things right there. You have a piston there, and oh no, this isn't the right path. That's right. That's why I call it the misdirect. The path isn't actually at the back of this room, even though it's super obvious. Now you could replace these enforcers with cannonbacks, because then cannonbacks could shoot a grenade down this corner or something, which would be even more effective. But the gist is simply that, you know, you make the path look like it's that way, put an incinerator or maybe a relentless bolt trap or whatever, just to make it so that people can't back away super easily. Impaler with blockade also works, whatever. Now, once you have them in a corner like this, well, pistons and bombs and incinerators all around, gonna be really tricky to deal with. And the best part about this is that it doesn't affect the difficulty of your outpost as much as traps near the path would, because difficulty calculations account for distance from the path, and the path is actually this way. Now, one thing not to do with this thing, or this kind of setup or misdirect, is don't make this the first thing in your outpost, right? Because then they're going to be coming in with Harvey, and they're going to see Harvey just going right around this corner, and then, well, you've essentially spoiled it. So make sure that, you know, there's some danger before maybe Harvey is dead. You know, don't kill Harvey deliberately, please. Don't exploit to kill Harvey. but put some danger so that Harvey might be dead, or at least far behind the speedrunner so that they don't see this. And then, yeah, just have them go into a room that's essentially the whole room is a trap. And the actual path is behind them. Simple misdirect. Very effective. Those were my best tricks to deal with speedrunners, but maybe you know more. Please let me know down in the comments below. And otherwise, if you've learned something, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.